You are God from beginning to the end. There's no place for argument. You are God all by yourself. You are God from
Saturday ni mafotokoza za kunena kuti kuyambira Sunday limene lilizo kuti pasinthidwa mulingo wa mavuto ukukuzidwa usiku, kukhala matenda ambiri, kukhala ngozi zambiri, kukhala mavuto osiyana ambiri. Ndi mafotokoza choncho kunena kuti mavuto akunkakukula pamene tikuthamangira ku 24 amene anakonzedwa, pamene tikuthamangira ku 2021 kumene Mulungu akunena kuti kuli mavuto akulu. Ndiye pali chinthu china chimene ndimafuna kuti ndisanamalize, chimene ndifuna kufotokoza, chimene watituma Mulungu kuti tichite. Anjira atamafotokoza apo zimene anaona zokhuzana ndi njoka. Ndafotokoza Mulungu akuti anaona akuyenda njoka kumano mulingo wake kutalika, amini kuchoka pansi saunjikana pena paliponse, koma kuzaza pena paliponse kudziko. Njoka zotaunjikana mulingo wanga ti half meter. Ndi atamona maino akuyenda, amati kuti mayi akuyenda sakuziona njokazi. Kumusoma pale panthu aziyenda bwanji. Ndi atangoyankhula mawu amene aja njoka zinamba kutani. Mawu amene anachoka, amene wandiobwera kuchoka ku Saturday lanu lija kupita kuchani ku Sunday. Chimene chikuthandiza chiona kuti mavuto kudziko ili afika. Ndimayankhula ndi munthu, ndimafunsa munthu chimenechi chikuthandiza chani, chitachitike ndi chani pa mavuto amene tinawo. Ndiye amanena kuti Emmanuel, kukaomba zuwa lambiri wanthu amatha kuthawira nyumba ndikabisala, wanthu amatha kuthawira pasi pa mtengo ndikabisala mthuzi. Simomwemo ndeni mati momwemo ambuye ndizoona akuti ziko mokamiri. Mavuto ndachosa pansi. Awo amene anaona njoka anaziona kuti zimatuluka zinaunjikana mulingo wa half meter, koma zimatuka kutiko kodi pansi. Ndi amati mavuto wa Emmanuel ndikwachosa pansi kubwera kutiko kodi, amene atapulumuke ndekhaekha amene akhoza kwanza kuyenda mmalere. Ndiye kuyenda mmalere ndine ndekha amene ndikhoza kumutenga munthu kuti ayende mutiko kodi. Zikuthandauza palibe amene atathawe mavuto amene tikubwera nawo Emmanuel. Anthu onse amayenda pati panthaka, palibe nakabisale nyumba pati, fa zonse ndikuzisusa kuchokera pansi kupita kutiko kodi. Ukawauze kachiwiri kandi kachitatu kandi ka number 4 nawo fotokoza kwa mapani nakoyamba kwa pate na kachiwiri. Saturday kuna unene rumene huu onena kuti kukhala matenda ochuka, kukhala imfa zochuka, kukhala ngozi zochuka. Ndiye akuti so ndifotokoze kunena kuti mavuto akwachosa kuchokera pansi. Chimene akufuna asapezeka othawa ndiye nkhani ya chinsalu chija. Asapezeka leso othawa amene athawe kupewa mavuto wa ndiye kayo amene aende mutimo kodi. Mwamba akuti wo amayenda muchani. Koma palima amene andipasi akundi yakule ndi mabale amene mabale akuti ukawuze kuti mavuto walo wa nyumba manga. Mulungu akuti ndikuuzeni kuti mavuto wa alowaso nyumba mandani mwa Mulungu uyo osati mwa ine. Akuti mavuto wa ukawuze kuti alowa nyumba manga. Mwanjira lina mavuto awawa apezekaso nchihema chake cha Yehova kapena nyumba ya Yehova arena of victims of nations. Ata ni moso amene wa ngati munthu yosaenda pa chimene Mulungu akutani kodi akuti ukawauze mavuto alowaso nyumba manga. Sindisamala amafotokoza kuti chani ndiye kamera zimene amafotokoza ndi zimene ali ndi amene apulumuke. Ndimafuna ndiyankhane na chili muchigwa, koma chigwachi pansi ponse pali njoka. Njoka zikuyimira mavuto osiyana amene Mulungu akumwamba abandule wathu, achite kwa wathu. Ndipo akuti wanthu Emmanuel andifuna ineyo ndipo mwamphamvu Emmanuel ineyo ndimaziwika ndikapanga action ina yake ndimene anthu amandifuna ineyo. So ndimafuna ndikuuzeni mapate namuli apa ndiruze dziko lapansi kunena kuti mavuto akutani kodi. Haleluya. Tili mu chaka chimene chili ndi mavuto, koma musayiwale tikuti ndi 2021 chaka chachani pali zisomo pa njira yanga. Ndiye tikusa 2021 chaka chachani kodi momwemonso 2021 zisomo pa moyo wanga ati kodi.
With me on the broadcast at this time is Mahesh Palawat. He's with the SkyMet weather team. Dr. Roxy Matthew Call is the scientist at the Indian Institute of Tropical Meteorology. First, if you can tell us about what you're picking up about this cyclone now. Dr. Roxy Matthew Cole, you've seen so many cyclones. How does this compare with everything that we've seen in the recent past?
Thanks, Rahul, for calling me in this important discussion. And in fact, I was listening to the news where Aditya Thackeray was saying that Maharashtra has never seen a cyclone like this before. And I would like to give an interesting stat on that. This is, in fact, or most probably, the first ever extremely severe cyclone to come so close to Mumbai since the year of 1891. That is like the last 130 years.
We start with the latest on our breaking news. India fearing dozens of people are dead after part of a Himalayan glacier collapsed. It has sent a torrent of water rushing down a river where a hydroelectric power station and several villages are positioned. Several communities have been put on high alert for flooding, and people are being evacuated further downstream. If we have a look at it on the map, we're talking very northern parts of India here, up through, well, close to the Himalayas, obviously. This is Rishi Ganga, which is one of the rivers which have been affected. And as the map swings around, you'll get an idea, first of all, of the proximity of the Himalayas there, from where the glacier has broken off. And then as you come down the Rishi Ganga River, we find one smaller dam there, and then further down a large hydroelectric project further downstream in one of the other rivers. I've just lost it at the moment. No, there it is. Coming down here as well, the Tapavan Mandir. So a lot of villages and, as we say, two big hydroelectric projects are in the path of all of that water. Elizabeth Puranam is our correspondent in New Delhi. She's on the line just now. What more are you hearing this hour, Liz?
Hello, Kamal. So what we are hearing is that this glacial burst in the state of Uttarakhand's Chamoli district has triggered the avalanche and massive flooding along the Alaknanda and Dhauliganga rivers. It's forced the emergency evacuation of thousands of people from surrounding areas, damaged homes, and the nearby Rishiganga power plant. A local official has told Indian media that 100 to 150 people may have been killed in the flash flood. Border Patrol official has also told Indian media that they fear there will be casualties because some water bodies flooded and destroyed many homes on the riverbank. I mean, we can see pictures of a massive flood, a torrent of water and debris moving through the Dhauliganga River. Uttarakhand's disaster response force have said that more than 150 labourers working at the Rishiganga power project, which was hit by floods, are missing. Representatives of the power project told disaster response that they're not able to contact those workmen at the project site, and authorities are also worried about the safety. There are a number of ongoing road and rail projects in the area, and authorities are worried about the safety of the labourers who are working on those projects.
Any word, I know it's early days, Liz, but any word on rescue efforts? This is a remote part of India. Getting there must be pretty difficult.
Yes, and they're very much underway. The state leader, T.S. Rawat, has tweeted that the district administration, police department, disaster management have been ordered to deal with the disaster. We know that hundreds of Indo-Tibetan border police personnel have been rushed to carry out rescue operations. Another government minister has said that as well as the hundreds of the Indian Tibetan border police, national disaster response force teams have been rushed from the of Dehradun. More are being deployed by Indian Air Force helicopter. And an alert has also been sounded for all downstream districts from Chamoli, including the major cities of Rishikesh and Haridwar. So people there have been warned against visiting riverbanks. The world's largest gathering, a Hindu festival called the Kumbh Mela, has actually been taking place in Haridwar over the past few weeks. This is where people bathe in the Ganges River during the festival, and so authorities will be dealing with more people than normal in and around Haridwar at this time.
Elizabeth Puranam with the latest on this news coming out of northern India, where a glacier has broken off the Himalayas, water rushing down through those valleys in the region. Thank you, Liz.
Since Sunday, frantic rescue efforts continue to try and find as many of the 170 people still missing. That's the official figure. Many more could be missing than that, feared dead. The operation is big and getting bigger. Some 2,000 police, paramilitary and military personnel are involved, and they include specialists in mountain rescue.
This morning we intensified the search operation in the second tunnel, where we think there are 30 people still trapped. We have 300 rescue workers on site.
The disaster began on Sunday when a wall of water, dust and rock destroyed everything in its path as it flowed down the Doli Ganga River in northern India. A portion of the Nanda Devi's glacier said to have broken off, sending the torrent surging down the mountain and through narrow valleys below. The Nanda Devi is part of the Himalaya mountain range. It's a fertile area for India, providing hydroelectricity through a series of dams, 2 of which have now been destroyed. The area has been hit by flash floods before. In 2013, record rainfall caused devastating floods that claimed close to 6,000 lives. Despite that, construction has continued on hydroelectric power. Environmentalists, including the former water minister, have questioned building more energy projects in such a naturally volatile area. Imran Khan, Al Jazeera.
A rescue effort in the middle of a cyclone off India's west coast. The Navy and Air Force rallied as 3 barges with 700 people on board went adrift near Mumbai. One used for accommodating workers on offshore oil rigs sank Tuesday morning, with dozens of people missing. These men were the first to be rescued. The barges were pulled from their holdings as Cyclone Tauktae pushed up past Kerala towards Gujarat, leaving them adrift in the Arabian Sea. This was the most powerful storm to hit the region in more than 20 years. The Indian Meteorological Department categorised the storm as extremely severe. It brought gusts of up to 210 kilometres per hour, one level below India's highest supercyclone category.
The Arabian Sea temperatures, the ocean surface temperatures are warming rapidly. And that has resulted in this sudden spurt of storms and cyclones forming over the Arabian Sea.
And this was the result on land. The storm surge battered properties for hundreds of kilometres down India's western coast. The swell reached 3 metres in some areas. Mumbai's famous gateway of India was flooded. Further inland, heavy sustained rain swamped streets. Winds of up to 165 kilometres an hour damaged hundreds of homes. Mumbai authorities closed the airport and urged people to stay indoors. The cyclone added pressure to India's health system, already at breaking point after now 25 million cases of COVID-19.
In these districts or areas, this is another disaster situation layered above the COVID situation that's underway. And in fact, all the 4 states along the west coast, which have been affected by the cyclone, but to varying degrees, are high incidence COVID states.
580 COVID patients were moved from field hospitals to safer locations in Mumbai, while in northern Gujarat state, all COVID patients in hospitals within 5 kilometres of the coast were relocated, while alternate power supplies were arranged for nearly 400 designated COVID hospitals. With the storm weakening as it moves further inland, people are cleaning up and hoping offshore search and rescue operations are successful. Charlotte Ballas, Al Jazeera.
Well, I want to go now to Anna, who is following developments in India. Anna, hi. What can you tell us? Because obviously India case numbers are hitting some fresh records, and that's not good news. No, absolutely not. This is like a double blow to India. Certainly that west coast that has been hit by this cyclone. From Goa to Gujarat, those 4 states have been heavily impacted. Heavy rain, extensive flooding, high winds. And even though the cyclone made landfall in Gujarat overnight, we are still seeing the aftermath of that. So the cleanup is ongoing. The flooding is ongoing. It's going to take many days, if not longer, for life to return to normal. So things like the vaccination program that was being rolled out can then resume. It has been suspended, in the lead up to this cyclone. We don't know when that will go back to normal. It's just as I say, a double blow to these people. We had seen case numbers coming down, particularly in Maharashtra and in the state of Gujarat, but with hundreds of thousands of people being evacuated from low-lying areas and moved to shelters, moved to evacuation centres, being crammed together, this is giving an opportunity for COVID to just spread again, for clusters to form. COVID patients being moved from hospitals, once again in low-lying areas, their lives are being put at risk. We're being told that in the state of Gujarat, the Indian Air Force is on standby. The Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he is across everything that is taking place at the moment. The current death toll as it stands is 23, but that could grow. But having moved all these people from low-lying areas early on, something that Indian authorities have really honed in recent years, that means that we don't see such high death tolls these days. I should just mention too, Robin, that there is a search and rescue operation happening off the coast of Mumbai as we speak. 146 people have been rescued. They were at a barge off an oil field off the coast. It had sunk. Navy vessels there rescuing those people. 127 are still missing. The Navy saying they want to get helicopters up in the skies, but as you can see from the pictures, conditions are horrendous. So we don't know when they'll be able to get those helicopters up, Robin.
Yeah, no, that doesn't look great. Anna Corrin, thanks so much for that report.
Now, a severe cyclone has hit the east coast of India. Cyclone Yas made landfall over Odisha near the border with West Bengal, bringing torrential rain and winds of up to 140 kilometres an hour. Over 1.5 million people have been evacuated from low-lying areas there and along the coast. A record number of national disaster teams have been deployed, with arrangements in place for COVID hospitals in vulnerable regions.
I have never seen such a storm in the last 30-40 years. It's likely the water may go all the way up to the district authority building, crossing the main road for the first time in Diga. No idea what will happen in the afternoon.
We are seriously very upset. We are seeing such a gush of water for the first time. We are very scared about what will happen with all the local residents.
Nepal's health services are overwhelmed. In government hospitals, doctors are treating patients on corridor floors and in waiting rooms. Several other hospitals in the capital, Kathmandu, have had to turn away new patients because of a lack of beds and oxygen. The Himalayan country is reeling from a second wave of infections that started last month after migrant workers returned from India. In the last few days, it's recorded its highest number of new cases and deaths.
Our biggest enemy right now is COVID-19. To fight this big enemy, the nation needs to come together and all the forces need to unite for the battle.
Pakistan, already battling a third wave, imposed the most severe restrictions in over a year.
India's daily coronavirus death toll has reached a record high, with 4,300 people reported dead on Tuesday. Well, that's despite the number of new COVID-19 infections continuing to fall across the country. Around 260,000 cases were reported on Tuesday, down 30,000 from the previous day. Meanwhile, reports suggest India is not likely to resume major exports of vaccines until at least October.
Umar Farooq sits on his mother's grave as it's being prepared. He's not yet ready to say goodbye. His story of mourning is one of thousands around the country every day. As India's streets empty because of localized lockdowns, burial grounds and crematoriums continue to work day and night. And in India's poorest states, Uttar Pradesh and Bihar, 100 bodies of suspected COVID-19 victims have been found floating in the Ganges River.
Our officials are at the scene and investigating. We are trying to find out where did these dead bodies come from, how did they get here, and their numbers.
With crematoriums around the country struggling to deal with a huge increase in bodies, residents of Ghazipur in Uttar Pradesh say they informed the local administration about a shortage of wood for cremations.
We told the administration that the dead are being thrown in the water because of a shortage of wood. Bodies from around 12 or 13 villages have been thrown in the water.
Bihar's government denies reports of wood shortages. It says it's carrying out post-mortems on the bodies to determine the causes of death. Elsewhere in India, patients are continuing to die because of oxygen shortages, 26 in the southern state of Goa.
Yesterday we had a requirement of 1,200 cylinders. We got only 400. There was interrupted oxygen supply from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m, which caused a lot of deaths.
Cases are increasing in southern India, where 18 people also died from oxygen shortages this week in the states of Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. Despite the number of cases dropping in about half of India's states, including the worst affected regions of Maharashtra and Delhi, 1 in 5 people testing for COVID-19 gets a positive result. And that's because the virus has simply spread to other areas, most notably the 5 states where regional elections were held in April. Elizabeth Puranam, Al Jazeera, New Delhi.
There's no place for argument. You are God all by yourself. You are God from beginning to the end. There's no place for argument. You are God all by yourself. Ooh. Oh yeah. You've got times and seasons in your hands. You called for light out of darkness.